Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Deborah Jones with Blue Table Talk. And, tonight, as always, well, right now we've been watching the election and see what's going on with the election. And so far, Biden is in the lead. So we're just going to keep praying. Whoever wins, I hope that God would be the head of their life. And so, but right now, Biden is in the lead. We have 253 electoral votes. Now, you don't win on popular votes, so don't think that Biden won because he have all the popular votes. But you do win on electoral votes. So tonight we have our two doctors on tonight. We have Dr. Levine and we have Dr. Williams tonight. But before we go on to that, before I read that bio, and let me tell you a little bit about COVID. You remember, don't forget to get your COVID shot testing, not shot, but testing. Don't go there and say you want a shot. Go and get your COVID testing. You can get it at MD Kids Pediatrics on North Frontage Road. You can also get it. Now, I had a big old tablet with all that stuff on here. And where did I put it? You can also get it at CVS. You can get it at Walgreens. You can get it at, I went today on Major Drive to get it because I've worked for 3 weeks with the election. And so I was around a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. So I needed to get, and people were coming in there saying, oh, I just got over the COVID and I have COVID and I need to go. But when they said that, Deborah Jones got to run it. So anyway, I went to get tested then and everything came out negative. Kudos for that. Yay. So, like I said, tonight we're talking to the doctors, diabetic. Dr. Williams will talk to us about diabetes, and Dr. Williams will talk to us about diabetes up at the foot also. And we need to know about that because we need our feet. I know I need mine. So let me speak on. Let me see what first. Dr. Levine, Japera Levine. Dr. Japera Levine hails from the town of Beaumont, Texas. She's our own. She's homegrown, where she graduated with honors from Westbrook High School. Upon graduation, she began her collegiate matriculation in the capital city of Austin as a Texas Longhorn, majored in neurobiology. Her interest in this subject came from her strong affection for anatomy, which is partially what intrigued her to become a podiatrist. Her additional interest stemmed from a family history of diabetes, as well as a desire to become a surgeon. After completing her undergraduate degree with a Bachelor's of Science in 2004, she took her talents to Philadelphia in order to study medicine at the prestigious Temple University, where she received an academic scholarship. It was at Temple where she honored her skills to become a podiatric physician and surgeon. During the time at Temple, she was accepted to the well-respected internship at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio under the lead of Dr. Harkless, Dr. Fontaine, and Dr. Zalnis. Under this direction, she obtained extensive knowledge in the art of lowering extremities, limb, salvage, and metabolic disease. Upon graduation from Temple, Dr. Levine moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where she learned conservative surgical techniques of the foot and ankle. Following 1 year of becoming well-versed with the East Coast medicine, Dr. Levine was accepted to a highly esteemed training program affiliated with the University of Chicago. While in Chicago, Illinois, she became skilled with the surgical arts of pediatrics, foot and ankle, and reconstruction, and surgical trauma. After much deliberation and prayer, she decided to be an asset to the local community and took her expertise home. That's Beaumont. Dr. Levine believed that serving her community extends beyond surgery. In 2017, she spearheaded a community garden along the Lamar University, in order to provide fresh fruit and vegetables to the South Park area. She and her staff plant during each season. In addition, as an active member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., she serves as the scholarship committee and the cotillion chairperson. Her goal is to mentor young ladies in the county and award their scholarship money for college. Lastly, Dr. Levine volunteers her time to tutor math at South Park Middle School in collaboration with the local university. It is her desire to treat and care for those who taught and helped in raising her. She said, my job has never worked for me because I love what I do. Tonight, everybody, I present to you Dr. Japera Levine. Hey, Dr. Levine. Okay, so now we also have Dr. Jeffernell Williams. Dr. Williams is a 1970, graduate of Hebron High School, graduated from Baylor University. And you know that I graduated in 1972, y'all. I'm just saying that. And graduated from Baylor University with a degree in biology, pre-med, and received her MD from University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, Texas. She did her intern medicine residency. Excuse me, y'all. I don't know where science come from. At Bessar County Teaching Hospitals in San Antonio. Diabetes is personal as well as professional to her. It is a ravage both sides of her family. She was diagnosed in 1997. And after being in private practice for 15 years, she chose to take care of her mother for at least 12 years of her life. This experience inspired her to address the prevention of diabetes and its complications as a ministry. She saw a need for diabetes education for people with diabetes who are underinsured and co-wrote a grant for Jefferson County, which was funded by the Department of State Health Service, Center of Disease Control. She and co-facilitators educated people with diabetes in Jefferson County for over 18 years through the Do Well, Be Well program created by Texas A&M programs of the American Diabetes Association, Diabetes Wellness Toolkit, Project Power, Bear, Know Your Series, and Merrick Pharmaceuticals. She has expanded her mission to include education, the faith community, business, school, and immediate family, providing self-management, nutrition classes, a junior education session, pre-diabetes education, and support group activities. Many policies and environmental changes have occurred due to these interventions. She's a former educator of the Department of Blind Services to assist clients with management of their diabetes. She wrote a grant sponsored by the Medicare Diabetes Project, which was awarded by the National Association of University Women to get the word out to senior citizens with diabetes about the benefits available to them. She also helped organize a diabetes prevention program in Cleburne, Texas, and Lake Charles, and has made presentations at the local, state, and national level upon the diabetes epidemic and promoted education and awareness in the Jefferson County. She has been privileged to present the National Diabetes Education Program, nationally webinar, and diabetes activities in Jefferson County. She has trained staff to conduct DSME classes for their patients. Her experience of working with the community has intensified her desire to reach those who may not have had any education about managing their diabetes, for those who may be burnt out or not ready to change because of denial or fear. She is very diligent about ensuring many presentations satisfy health, literacy, parameters, so that the participants can benefit totally from the education experience. If they don't understand, they would not be motivated to change. She's a daughter to the late Ben and Rose Williams. I present to you our own Dr. Jeffernell Williams. And both of them are our own, y'all. Hey, Dr. Williams. And both of y'all are muted.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great. So tonight, I'm gonna ask you some questions, and both of you guys are really great. Really, what you do is pertain to one another, because diabetes and people with diabetes have foot problems, and I'm a diabetic, so I know a little about it, because I don't follow books, so I know y'all want to hear me. So one question for Dr. Williams is, how would a person know what type of diabetes they have?
When you're diagnosed, you're told at that time what type of diabetes you have. There are type 1 diabetics, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, where you have not gotten diabetes yet, but you are in that position where you can get diabetes. There's a lot of where it's a latent autoimmune diabetes that you can get, gestational diabetes. And you're told at that time, type 1 diabetics, that's about 5% of the population, type 1 diabetics. They're usually young children, but there are some rare adults that get type 1 diabetes. Those are the ones who don't have any insulin at all. They must take insulin. They think it's an autoimmune disease. They really don't know the cause. It's primarily an autoimmune disease. They think it may be some insult to the pancreas has occurred, and they think it's usually autoimmune. Type 2 diabetics, the pancreas usually not making enough insulin, or the person is insulin resistant, meaning that the insulin that is there, the cells cannot, the insulin cannot get in the cells and do its work, and they're said to be insulin resistant. A lot of the young people who get diabetes, who are overweight, those young people are usually insulin resistant. And gestational diabetes, those are women who get diabetes during their pregnancy, and at the time you're diagnosed, you're usually told at that time.
I know I was a gestational diabetes with both my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I had my son, he was premature. So I went blind. And so the doctor, I'm crazy. So the doctor told me to go to the hospital right now. Of course, I went shopping. And then by the time I got to the hospital, I was fussed at. So then that's how I found out. I didn't know I was a diabetic then. I really didn't know. That's how I found out I was a diabetic. So when he did, he took away everything, the phone and everything. I had turned a different color, and they was expecting me to live. So it was either I was going to live and my baby was going to die, or my baby was going to die, or I was going to live. That's when they told me I was a gestational diabetic, and to watch myself. And I didn't. Of course, I didn't. And then when I had my daughter, I was on insulin for the whole 9 yards. And
that's unfortunate. A lot of times, people are told to wash themselves and not told what to do. You know, right. They say, okay, be careful, watch yourselves. You know, and that's an unfortunate thing. But unfortunately, a lot of people who have diabetes, they find out at certain times that they have the diabetes. Because a lot of times you don't have symptoms. You just find out when you go get lab done, and when you go to the emergency room for one reason, you find out while you're there that you have diabetes, or you pass out and you're brought to the emergency room, you find out. And unfortunately, some people find out, the family finds out when the person is brought in dead on arrival, because the blood sugars are so extremely high, and that's when they find out. Yeah.
Right. I need to talk to my listening audience. I need you guys to go ahead and hit the share button, share with so that a lot of people can get on here to hear this, because I'm bringing this to you so you'll know about diabetes. And diabetes is in the black families is what, deadly, y'all, or what? Dr. Levine, I know when we have diabetes and our foot start hurting, and it can affect our feet. So,
I'll say this. There are so many patients who walk into my office, and I think because in our culture it's very common to have diabetes, that we don't tend to take it seriously. Not only that, we don't tend to educate ourselves.
Right.
And unfortunately, questions I ask in my office, we are very big about education, because I tell them the last thing I want to do is have a conversation with you and your family about having to cut off a toe, a foot, or a leg. That's the worst part of my job. But do understand, by the time it gets there, we're past the point of no return. And you've had all of these years where, just like Thanksgiving coming up, well, what's on the table? Fried this, smothered that, carbs, loaded down, the things that in our culture that we tend to surround ourselves with, which is why, I started the garden, because even in the communities we live in, they're food deserts. So you don't have access to things that are healthier options. They're more expensive. You have to maintain them. And so just over the span of a life, not only the fact that you have a genetic component, someone else in the family has diabetes, but you inherit this condition, you're more prone to getting it, and we don't take care of ourselves. And so it's simple things. One thing I always tell my patients, hey, eliminate everything but water. If it's not water, and sometimes you have to get that harsh with your patients, but you have to educate them, because a lot of times they're not going to go out and seek the information on their own. We definitely always ask, hey, have you been to an education class? They're free. Go to them. Bring your family.
We really don't know where to find them, because, I know St. Elizabeth has an education class, but you really don't know where to find your education class.
You can always Google that online, diabetic education classes near me. The health department has them for free. I do know that UT Physicians has them. Each hospital has them. The ADA, like the Diabetic Association, has them. But it starts, with small things. And so you make small changes, because I think most patients are like, oh my God, I can't eat the foods that I love. you just have to eat them a lot less. You're not gonna die if you don't get your cake on Sunday. It's just not gonna happen. But yes, by the time they come in to see me, and yes, it does affect the feet because number one, the foot is the furthest thing for as far as circulation from the heart. Okay. So by the time people come in to see me, they're like, hey, my feet are on fire, they're hurting. And I'm like, well, baby, what has your blood sugars been? Have you taken them? Well, I wasn't told to take them. And I'm like, well, how do you know if you're spiking, if your sugars are going up and down? Because every time they spike, it's doing damage. I tell patients all the time, high blood sugars is like having a piece of glass floating in your body. It damages everything in sight. Your eyes, your heart, your blood flow, your lungs, everything. Nothing is off limits.
Dr. Williams, okay, so I know what Dr. Levine is talking about, because everything you said just now is true, because I just got fussed at the other day about my diabetes, because I'm a sweet, I love my sweets. And so my doctor told me, put another sweet, go ahead, eat as much sweet as you want to. Because when you come back here next time and that A1C is where it is now, you're going on the insulin. And no, we're not talking about amputation right now, but it will happen if you keep doing what you do. So I know what you're saying, and now it's hard for me. It's hard for me to change my lifestyle. So Dr. Williams, help me to change my lifestyle.
Well, that's what's good about education classes. We give you information. We can give you all information all day long, 7 days a week. But the problem is you have to use the information that we give you, and one of the aspects of the classes is every class we give you information. We also have the part that Dr. Levine was talking about, which is the diet part. The most important part is the diet part. You have to change that information. And we tell people you can eat whatever you want. We don't change any of that. You eat whatever you want. It's portion control. And we teach you how to be smart about eating. You can have your carbohydrates. Women can have 3 to 4 carbohydrates per meal. I'm not talking about the meat. I'm not talking about the meat. I'm not talking about the non-starchy vegetables. I'm talking about in addition to that. So it's not that we make having you eat like one bean, one small part of an apple. You have a lot of food that you can eat. And we try to help you with that, to let you see that it's portion control. You have to get your mindset and get out of the denial. A lot of patients come in classes in denial, and you show them that. And we had one lady who came in, she said, I'm here, my family made me come because they told me my blood sugar was 400, and I don't believe them. I said, well, what do you think? What do you think about that test? It was 400. She said, they made a mistake. I said, okay. I said, well, did you check it with your meter? Yes, it was in the 400s. I said, so what was wrong with the meter? It was something wrong with the meter. It was broken. I said, okay. I said, can I take it with my meter? She said, yeah, you can take it. Okay, it was high. I said, now what's wrong with my meter? She said, well, something's wrong with your meter too. I said, okay. I said, well, will you do one thing for me? We just keep coming to class and just listen to what we have to say. The third class, she said, I apologize. She said, it's just me. She said, I'm afraid. I said, the way you get rid of that fear is to learn how to do what you need to do so you won't get those complications. The way you don't get complications is you do what you need to do in order to get the disease in check. A lot of people are afraid. They're afraid. I'm afraid of going blind. I'm afraid to get my leg come out. Well, do what you need to do not to get it done, not to have those things done. Half of them are scared to death. When I got my diagnosis, I was scared to death, but I was so scared I didn't want to have that done. So I'm gonna do what I need to do not to get that done, But she stayed in class, and I gave her, hey, I applauded her for that. She could not come back. But a lot won't because they're scared to death, but they're not scared enough not to do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Levine.
One thing I was also going to say is most people also have this misconception that, hey, I'm diabetic, and because I'm not on medication, that now controls my sugar. No. No. You still have to do your part. And I tell my patients all the time, honey, we can throw all the pills in the world at you. It will not matter if you do not make the changes yourself.
So how do y'all determine what medication to give a diabetic person? You see a lot of, I'm not saying just Black people, just people, period, on metformin, and you hear that metformin is not good. And okay, because I'm a Google everything. I'll Google you in a minute. And
yeah.
But I'm on Glyza, what else? Glypiride, all that stuff. Some people say it's not good for you.
The metformin they have difficulty with now is the extended release metformin that they're having trouble with, that's associated with cancer. The extended release, not the regular metformin, the 500, 1,000 milligram, is that extended release metformin right now. And one of the other medications they're having some problem with genital infections and other things. Yeah. So not the regular metformin. Now, another thing I have difficulty with patients who come in, and I'm a Christian and I believe in God and I know God's going to help me. And I believe in that, but I tell them, I accept the fact that I have diabetes. What I'm not going to claim, again, is the complications. Right. And I'm not going to claim the complications. I'm asking God to help me not to get those complications. But if my blood sugar is 500, I'm going to do something about that blood. I'm asking God to help me bring that blood sugar down. They'll come in a minute and say, I have it. I'm not going to claim it. I'm not going to claim it. And so you have to deal with that too in class. You have to deal with a whole lot of, and what Grandma said, if I eat this cinnamon and if I drink this apple juice every morning, if I do this you have to deal with all that, with all those kind of beliefs in our community. When they come in with all those beliefs, let me tell you, all kind of stuff with when people come to class, when patients come to class, you have to deal with all of that. That runs in our community. We grew up with that, with all kind of solutions and all kind of things given us to drink and to eat. But when you have a serious disease and diabetes associated with high blood pressure, oh my goodness, the things that people tell you to do with high blood pressure, and they'll try that before they'll try things and tell you can stop taking your medicine. That's a fearful one. Stop taking all that medicine and try this. And I've had people go in the hospital because they've done that kind of thing, which is a very fearful thing, especially with diabetes and high blood pressure. They'll try that. Right. But, there's so many things that you can do diabetes is one of those diseases that if you've not burned your pancreas out from eating so many carbohydrates, then you have a chance if you lose 7 to 10% of your body weight. If you do 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week, you can make a big dent in your health. You have a chance to reverse some of those things that are happening in your body. There was a study of almost 4,000 people they did just doing that who had pre-diabetes, and they did that, and a lot of those people never did get diabetes. Exactly. Just no medicine. None at all. Yeah.
Exactly. So once a diabetic, always a diabetic. Is that what you're saying? Is that what y'all saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are people with diabetes who are not on their medications at all.
Correct.
None.
Okay. So Dr. Levine, my feet. How do I take care of my feet so that?
Sure. One thing I was going to piggyback on with Dr. Williams is that's another, with the culture, especially people who go to church and your pastor say, I rebuke that. I'm not claiming that. And I tell patients all the time, like, honey, you prayed for help. Mm-hmm. This is your help.
Yeah.
Your physicians, your care team, and understand faith without works is dead. Mm-hmm. So you need to do your part. You have been given the blessing. God has answered your prayer. So what are you going to do with that? And I also caution patients to say, if you're a Christian especially, this is your temple. God has given you your temple. Look how you're taking care of it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's pleasing to God?
Right.
That he wants you to live and go to all these physicians and pay all this money to get medications that are manufactured by man? Like, why? When he gave you a perfect temple to start with.
Yep.
So what I want to do is share something with you on my screen. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not showing. Okay. So there was a patient who, let's see something, who came in, who essentially had broken her ankle.
Broken what?
She broke her ankle.
Okay.
She also has gangrene. She can't feel it. She walked in on the broken ankle, toes dead, black, gone, like not coming back. And I'm like, ma'am, do you not see this? She said, I see it, but I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And I'm only liking that to say is that's how bad her sugars have damaged her neurological system to the point where she's completely demolished and done extensive amount of damage to her foot and ankle and has no idea. Not only that, she now has a blood flow issue because the toes are dead and it will not come back. So that means there was a problem with the blood flow from the diabetes because the arteries can't pump like they used to. So then they not getting the circulation. She subsequently, we would have to take her leg. Simple. So some of the things I always tell my patients, watch out for, because we do a diabetic exam on our patients once a year. And I always say, hey, I don't want it changing when you come in here to see me next year. And the only way to prevent that is to make sure you keep your blood sugars under control and follow your diet and exercise plan from your physician. So a couple of things. If you have cool feet, they don't have any hair. The nails are really thick. The skin's really shiny. Or when you walk and you walk for a short time and the calf begins to hurt, that means you don't have enough circulation.
Right.
When the legs move, the muscles move, and when they don't get the blood flow they need, they begin to ache. That's a couple of things you can look for. Secondly, don't get any cracks, openings, cuts, bobos, blisters in the skin, because the skin is the largest organ on the body. It emits things, it absorbs things. So you don't want anything violating the largest organ on the body, which is your only protection from getting an infection. You don't want any violation to that skin layer. The other thing, if you have fungus, something very simple, this very aggressive in my office. As far as fungus is concerned, you want to treat that because that breaks down the actual skin layer that protects you. Let's see, hammer toes, bunions, anything that's proud on the foot. People come in, they don't wear the right shoe size, so it's rubbing a blister. Any openings, wounds, you need to get those taken care of. Because I tell patients, that wound within 24 hours will land you in the emergency room. Your immune system does not behave like a person who doesn't have diabetes. That means if anything comes in contact with that foot or violates the skin, you will likely be in the ER. And just because you stepped on something and you took it out, doesn't mean a week later, you will not have an infectious process. So any color changes in the skin, any feelings of, hey, my feet feel like they're on fire, or hey, burning numbness, tingling. A lot of times patients get put on what's called gabapentin or Neurontin. I always tell patients, hey, we need to find out why you have the neuropathy or the lack of feeling so we can address that. I don't want to throw medication at you to mask the symptoms, okay? So when you start having loss of feeling, hey, it feels like my ants are crawling all over my legs. Those are things and changes in your neurological system that's saying like, hey, I think something's here, but it's not, okay? The last thing I would say probably is as far as shoe gear, make sure you're wearing the correct size shoe. I don't care if you go wear a pump or a cute that's fine. Just make sure it's the appropriate size. The feet change just like the body changes. It's not the same size you wore at 20. Okay, so you need to make sure you get your feet measured. You need to make sure you have the appropriate shoes on. They don't rub any areas, no calluses. Calluses are one of the main reasons why people end up losing toes. A callus is a pressure point. Once that callus gets thick enough, it begins to bleed. Now it's a wound. Now the bone's exposed. Now you're having to see me because I'm gonna have to cut that off. And when I say it happens just like that, just like that.
Because I was going to ask you about the shoes, what kind of shoes does a diabetic wear? I mean, I know we can wear any type of shoe, but now I started going to this I forgot the name of that place. Over there by Chick-fil-A. I forgot the name of that place. Sass, is that it?
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, you can wear that, and I always ask patients like, hey, do you want a pair of diabetic shoes? What makes the diabetic shoe different is nothing can go through the bottom of the shoe, and it doesn't rub. So that means you don't get any blisters, no cuts, no scrapes, no bobos. And people, a lot of times, they end up stepping on things. It goes through the shoe into the foot, and they think because they pulled it out, you're not going to have a problem. No, you will have a problem. That will get infected. You will be in the ER shortly. Okay. So as far as SAS, yes, they're a great shoe, but I tell patients, start at Dillard's, go from there. The biggest thing is they do not rub any areas, no red areas. If you take off your shoe and any part of your foot's red, that means there's blood right under the skin because that's a pressure point. That means you're not wearing the correct size shoe. That means it's not the correct length or width. So it doesn't matter for me what shoe you wear. Obviously, if you're wearing flip-flops, then you need to make sure you look at your feet when you take your flip-flops off because debris gets under the foot. Okay, so then you're walking on that. Then people who can't feel, people will come in my office and I'm like, did you not feel this in the bottom of your foot? Like it's been sitting there. They don't know. Temperature, something simple. If you have neuropathy, don't check the temperature of your tub water with your foot. You need to check it with your hand. I have people coming in 3rd, 4th degree burns because they don't know.
Right.
But
Wow.
that's how drastic the neuropathy is. That's how people end up losing things. And if you know that you've had changes in the way that your feet feel or your legs feel, go get checked. If you see that the hair stops on your legs at like the shin area and doesn't continue, that means you don't typically have enough circulation for the hair to grow. But these are all things that when you go see your foot doctor, they should go over with you to educate you.
Well, my foot, I had a foot doctor. Like I said, I had one. She just retired.
I know, Harvey, like, yep.
Huh? You know
Yes, I'm aware.
And so now I guess I'm out looking for another doctor, you know, because I'm particular about my feet. Very particular about my feet. You know, I don't do pedicures.
I'll add to that.
Yeah.
The local salon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yes.
They are the biggest culprit in this community of fungus, bacteria. People come into my office, I take a specimen, and I'll tell you, I said, when this comes back from the pathologist, I can almost tell you which salon you went to because the organisms that are growing. So I don't particularly, if you're going to go and get a pedicure, do not allow them to use anything sharp on you. You want to bring probably your own instrumentation and your own polish, which should include your base coat and your color. Because everything in there has fungus in it. The tubs, the instruments, all the polishes they use. And that's one of the biggest culprits in how people end up in my office. And I have to take off a toe for something very simple. One lady, she came in, she had gotten a gel pedicure, the UV light, didn't even know. She's sitting in there burning.
Yeah. Wow.
Burn. 3rd, 4th degree burn.
Wow.
Is that because of the water, how they, you know, the, what you call that vibration of that water, you know, how they smooth that water out and everything, they run in the water and massaging your feet with that water and everything. Is that because of those burns? Is that it, or is it just
the burn actually came from the gel pedicure, which she had with the UV light when you stick it into the machine. The light was too hot. But the second thing is the water in those tubs. And if you go get a pedicure, they don't clean those tubs like they should. They should pour that water out somewhere else, not in the plastic basin that they have in there that they are fooling people with. You need to run a clean cycle after every client, because if they don't, which they don't, you're soaking in everyone else's fungus that has sat in that chair the entire time.
Dr. Williams.
Simple things.
I'm sorry, Dr. Williams.
No, that's sad. I mean,
diabetes hereditary?
You can't have a family history of diabetes, but there are a lot of other risk factors. I do this little exercise when I do a diabetes awareness thing. I'll have everybody stand up and then I'll call out something. If this applies to you, I'll have them sit down. And I usually use family history last because a lot of people think because it's not in their family, they're okay. So I'll start with like, if you have high blood pressure, sit down. If you have high cholesterol, sit down. If you're overweight, sit down. If you're obese, sit down. If you're over 45, sit down. If you have low thyroid, sit down. Gestational diabetes, sit down. If you're built like Beyonce, you can sit down. And then I'll ask him. I said, now don't let somebody else tell you you're built like Beyonce. Don't think you built like Beyonce. We kind of in our mind we built like you built like Rose. You built like Roseanne. You built like Roseanne. Sit down. Built like Roseanne. Sit down. If you have polycystic ovaries, sit down. If you have let's see, what's the other one? Oh, if you are African American, Native American, Pacific Islander, Latino, sit down. If you don't exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, sit down. If you had a baby over 9 pounds, sit down. And the last one is family history. And those are our risk factors for diabetes. But family history is the last thing. I don't think that's me. Is that me?
I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay. I'll tell them I have to sit down. So all of those things put you at risk for diabetes before family history comes in. But family history is a factor for diabetes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Levine might not know this, but Dr. Williams, you know this. I exercise all the time.
Oh yeah.
I'm an exercise. I teach exercise. I do it. I have a Facebook exercise program, and all of a sudden, after Laura, I just stopped. I don't know if it was just a mind thing or what. I just completely stopped. All of a sudden, my hip and all the way down my leg and to my foot started aching and paining. So I don't know if it's because I stopped exercising or what, but I had to go to a bone marrow bone and joint doctor. I went to them. He found out it could be my spine that's making my back. It could be my spine that's hitting against a disc in my back. So now but now I feel better. I feel a whole lot better. The thing I'm trying to get to is, I know that exercise is good for you, but it looks like it's not lowering my blood sugar. Because my blood sugar sometimes will spike, and like I told you in the beginning, I eat a lot of sweets. I know that, and my doctor already told me that. But now I'm trying to get off of. Now I'm trying to live a great lifestyle. Maybe one day my children might have babies, and I want to be here when they have them. So
you want to be around.
I don't know what the deal is. I'm gonna have to
be around healthy.
Right.
Okay. Well, you already know one thing that you're doing the sugars. Okay, you're doing the sweets. That's carbohydrates. Okay, you already working on that. There's some other things that will make your blood sugar go up.
I eat a lot of fruit now.
Okay, well, fruit is a carbohydrate.
Deborah,
fruit is a carbohydrate. Okay.
Yes.
So what you need to do is I always recommend people is to keep a food diary. So you can know what you're eating. Keep up with what you're eating, okay? When you're eating it, and you know how to count carbs. Okay, you know how to count carbs. Okay, when I get through with all these surgical things I'm going through, I'm doing my classes again, and I'll let you know so you can put it on your thing. Okay. I missed my classes, but and I'm doing my class. That's most important. I want to get to my classes again so people can learn how to count their carbs and do their meals. But so you can, it's very important to keep a food diary so people don't realize how many carbs they're eating or what they're eating. But keep up with that. I'll start off by telling you a small apple, okay, it's 15 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You can look on the label and it'll tell you what you're eating in the candy that you're eating, how many carbs.
I gave candy up.
All right, good. So you're starting off good already. But there are other things besides food that'll make your blood sugars go up. The liver itself will put out carbs. Overnight, people will go to bed and they say, I checked my and it was fine. When I woke up in the morning, my blood sugar was up. Well, the liver will put out glucose overnight, and that's one thing that make it go up. Stress will make your blood sugar go up. Let me tell you, we all stressed out during this pandemic. As people who blood sugar will find us say during this pandemic, I'm just out of control. And all you can do is tell them, just do the best you can now. You know, whatever means you have to de-stress yourself, pray, read your Bible, read a devotion, meditate, talk to people. Even though you don't see your family, be sure you talk to them, keep up with them. Don't put yourself in a corner there and say, oh my God, you know, do something to help yourself de-stress. Because people with diabetes are having a hard time with this stuff. And stress is one of the worst things that happens with people with diabetes.
And we don't even realize that we stress. And that's
stress, exactly. It's been going on so long now. It's the norm. And our bodies don't handle stress well, and it makes people with diabetes blood sugar go up because their cortisol and all that stuff. You know, that makes the sugars go up. So so that's another thing, you know, that could be happening to you with the sugar. So but you starting out good by the one of the first things we do is make our diets more what they should be. Okay. So don't sell yourself short yet. Okay,
right.
You're doing good already. You're doing good. Okay.
And just to, you know, Dr. Williams is correct. Hormonal, you know, with the stress levels, hormonal. I mean, my goodness. And because we're just so accustomed to waking up, putting our feet on the floor, you don't realize the body is just under severe amount of stress, and it's trying to handle it, and you just trying to keep going, and you don't even realize it.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Yes.
So Dr. Bing, how does a person get foot ulcers?
Sure. I want to touch back on what you were talking about with your back. When you start having symptoms or issues where something's radiating or is spanning a large area, surface area, if you can't take a finger and say, hey, I hurt here, okay, like right here. So that means it's going to involve several muscles, several joints. So you have to start looking at structures further up. So if you're talking about your entire leg, then I would automatically think it was involved with your back, because the same nerve in the back is the same nerve in the foot. So if something's spanning a large area like that, you have to start thinking of structures that span large areas. Okay. So it's not going to just be isolated to one space. So I would have.
Think about it was, my knee expanded first. My knee got real big, and I had to crawl to Victory Hospital. Just like crawl. I mean, I took myself, and when I got there, I cried because I was in so much pain. And so they gave me some Tramadol, and then one doctor gave me some Tylenol 3 because I went to him that my girlfriend had some, you know. And then
classic.
Right, and then I'm on some steroids, so the steroids kind of help me a whole lot.
Now keep in mind, and I know that Dr. Williams will confirm, you know, when you start taking steroids, it changes. Blood sugars go through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
But how you bring it down?
How you what?
How you bring it down? We have to wait till it gets out of your system, and then go definitely exercise, go walk, take a walk, and then wait till that flushes your system. So to answer your question about foot ulcerations, you can get them multiple ways. The simple things I already mentioned: wrong shoe, like something very simple. Like, honey, I don't need you wearing that type of shoe that you had 10 years just because you want to look cute. Okay, your body changes. So the friction will then, as I said, break the skin, you get an ulcer. 2, you bump it or hit it. Anything, you step on something hits you. Some other reasons, bony prominences, such as, like I said, with your bunions, your hammer toes, any flat feet, things of that nature, anything that will cause a proud area in the foot, that's going to be an area you need to watch out for. That could potentially become an ulcer. The thing about ulcers are you want to find the cause, you want to address it. You don't want to let the ulcer get through several layers of skin. I tell patients you don't have a lot of real estate between the skin and the bone. So once the skin's violated, that has direct access to the bone, and then I'll have to cut that off. It's as simple as that. So it's going to be pressure points. If you have a blood flow issue, you never want to get any scratches, cuts, breaks. You don't want to ever violate the skin. A lot of people come in like, oh, I was sitting outside and they had ants crawling all over him. Didn't feel it.
Ooh.
And so then they have all these bites. I mean, it could be anything that violates the skin in any way can cause an ulcer. All an ulcer is an open area.
Wow. Wow. Why couldn't they feel it? Because it's just dead?
The neuropathy. Absolutely. The neuropathy that's how drastic the neuropathy is. You know, then as I was talking about the blood flow, so that's a lot of times when people find out they have a blood flow problem. Like, hey, something simple. I cut my nail, I caught some of the skin, now my whole toe is black. I'm like, well, boo, you don't have any circulation.
Right.
It's something very simple. And so then now something when you clip your nail turns into now I have to take half the foot because the circulation has been damaged so badly. Even if when I send you to the cardiologist or the heart doctor and they go in and try to open up as many vessels as they can, those small vessels that supply the skin, those don't come back. They don't bounce back from the procedure. So the skin just continues to die. And it will die until it gets to the point where you have blood flow. And that's how something simple, how grandma ends up losing her leg.
Right.
This is not something that happens overnight. These are changes in the body that have happened over the entire span of your life.
Yeah, nice, man. So, Dr. Williams, a question was asked, if I feel better, do I still have to take my medication?
That's right. That's why you feel better. Because you were taking your medication. You were taking your medication. That's right. That's what got you there, really. And a lot of people, they'll stop taking medicine because they feel better, but it's because the medicine did its job and you're feeling better. I'd like to say something about kidney disease, because diabetes is so closely related to kidney disease. In fact, it's the #1 cause of kidney failure. And high blood pressure is right next to it, and diabetes and high blood pressure right together. People with diabetes, with type 1 diabetes, it's like this. When the pancreas, when the beta cells in the pancreas fail in type 1s, it's gone, you know, and they get sick right then and there. That's why they don't have to go do the eye exam and get the kidney check and get the heart check, because nothing damaged right then. When people with type 2 diabetes present, they already have something that has some damage to it, because they already have some damage somewhere. And so usually it's going to be neuropathy in the feet, Dr. Levine was talking about. It may be the eyes, it may be something with the heart, the blood vessels, or it's going to be some damage to the kidneys. And a lot of time the kidneys is like, it takes years. Diabetes is a slow process. And I hate it when people tell me, well, I'm going to die of something. I'm not going to listen. I love my food. I'm going to die of something. But you don't want to die like this. One of the reasons I got into the diabetes education and ministry and going around all these places is because I got so tired of seeing my family leave here with stuff gone, legs gone, you know, amputations, feet, legs, blind. I got tired of it. And kidney disease is something that doesn't have to be. When you present, you know, you'll know that you're spilling some protein. You control that blood sugar, you control your blood pressure. That's going to help your heart. It's going to help your kidneys. It's going to help your blood vessels. It's going to help so many things. It's going to help your eyes, because when they examine your eyes, that's another thing. You have to have those eye exams done. We don't talk about the eyes a whole lot, but once they tell you, when they start saying, okay, I see some diabetic changes in your eyes, you know, I'm seeing some stuff here. When the eye doctor starts telling you that, the same thing he's seeing here is happening in your kidneys. Small vessel disease.
Really?
That's right. When he starts telling you, I'm seeing diabetic changes here, it's starting to happen in your kidneys.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's so very important, because it's not just a big vessel disease, it's a small micro vessel disease. And when your kidneys start going bad, once they're damaged, they don't heal. It's not like you cut your fingernails and they grow back. It doesn't heal. Okay.
Wow.
So we got to take care of our kidneys. We have to. And there are medicines that are blood pressure medicines. They also help the kidneys. They also help the kidneys. And we can't, they don't heal themselves, but you can stop them where they are. You can stop them where they are. It's too many of us on dialysis. It's too many young people on dialysis. It's too many middle-aged people on dialysis. You go on a dialysis center. Everybody should go walk through a dialysis center and see who's on dialysis.
And control your life. You are there 3 days a week.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
For hours.
That's right. You know, and it's too many. And
they go to dialysis because they didn't do the right thing with their diabetes.
When high blood sugars, you would think, well, all that sugar now, the cells use sugar for energy. They use it for energy. And that's why they asked me one time, what if all that sugar's in the blood? Why don't the cells use it? Because in order for the cells to use the sugar, it has to get into the cell. Yep. And the way it gets into the cell is the insulin unlocks that cell. Well, if the insulin can't unlock the cell, if the cell is resistant, then the insulin can't do its job. That's what's wrong with type 2 diabetics. They're insulin resistant. And so the sugar can get in the cell. So all that sugar floating around the blood is toxic. It's toxic. And so that's why it's so bad. It's toxic to the organs. Yes. And so it's toxic to the kidneys. And so the kidneys, I mean, that's what happens. And so there we are, the kidneys start failing. And when the kidneys start failing, they have all those stages 1 through 5. And when they start failing, you know, if you don't do something, that's why you have to go to the doctor. That's why this COVID is so upsetting, because people are afraid to go to the emergency room because they're afraid there's going to be people in the emergency room who are going to give them COVID. Do you think those people in the emergency room want to get COVID? No, they're going to do everything possible to keep the emergency room COVID free. They're cleaning that emergency room up and stuff. They're not going to have that emergency room there. The people are afraid to go because they're afraid they're going to get COVID. Please go and get yourselves checked. You know, if you're having a problem, go to the emergency room. You know, they said the emergency room.
I thought that the emergency room would turn you away because of COVID.
No. If you think you have COVID, they're telling you to call your family doctor
first. Yes.
They don't want you to go to the emergency room with COVID so you can infect people there.
Right.
They call your family doctor and you can get a test before you get there. Right. If you have it, then they can prepare for you when you get to the hospital. Right. They don't want you to walk in the emergency room with 100 people in the emergency room and then you walk in there with COVID. No, they want to protect you. So a lot of people are not going to the emergency room because of COVID. And so a lot of people with diabetes who would maybe normally go there are staying home. They're afraid to go to the doctor, and they're not taking care of themselves. Then they're eating like they shouldn't be eating right now. But you know, I'm worried about them because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're under a whole lot of stress.
One thing to piggyback on what Dr. Williams is saying, a lot of the reasons sometimes men come into my office is because they can't get an erection.
Oh yeah, that'll set them. Yeah,
and that is a side effect of the diabetes because of the microvasculature.
That's right.
And understand, the man is definitely more concerned about their erection than they are about the diabetes.
That's right. Wow. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do in that instances?
With
the erectile dysfunction.
With the erectile dysfunction.
Well,
I mean, they had what was that medication they had that make men do whatever? What was that?
Viagra and Cialis.
Yeah.
Well, but see, that's a neurological thing with the erectile dysfunction. See, that's the nerves don't only affect the foot. Those nerves affect the hand, and they also affect the heart and the stomach. They affect the nerves all over.
Yep. And the nerve is what controls the movement.
Right.
The nerve is what controls the vessel movement. Right. It controls a lot. And so just to piggyback on what Dr. Williams is saying, that's when people start trying to get concerned. Well, the damage has been done.
That's right. They have a problem.
And it's done. So another thing I want to say about, with the COVID, as I tell my patients, I'm like, honey, people with diabetes, congestive heart failure, kidney disease, you already sick. You're just walking around on medication. So that's why you're also more prone to getting the corona. You already sick, unfortunately. And that is a truth. That is a reality.
Yep. And a lot of people got upset with that Surgeon General when he made the statement he made about our community having all these diseases, and we had all these things. He was telling the truth. He was not attacking the community. It's just that we were just in a bad position, and this virus is here. Just like when the hurricane is at the Port Arthur Pier, it's at the pier. Corona was just happened to come at a time when we our health situation is what it is. And it's not the first time we heard those words. We've been hearing the word out that we in dire situation in our health for years. It's not the first time we heard it. You know, it is what it is. You know, and the guys with erectile dysfunction, they have all these devices and stuff that they give them and stuff, but it's nothing like your own. Is all I can say.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, sometimes medications will make them have problems and stuff, but
they have other side effects as well.
Right. But when it's gotten to the point where it's messing with the nerves, your nerves, all I can say, the saddest case we ever had was Sandra and I were doing classes at the extension office, and this guy was in a wheelchair. He was on dialysis, and he had two BKA below the knee amputations, and he said, "Boy, I wish I knew you ladies 4 years ago."
And it happens quickly.
And I wanted to cry for him. He said, "I wish I knew you ladies 4 years ago."
One thing about when you get a leg amputated, I tell people you are 50% likelihood to have the other leg amputated.
That's right. Exactly.
And the other leg.
That's right.
That's how drastic the numbers, the ratios go up that quickly.
That's right.
Well, and I know we're gonna have to go because I told y'all an hour and it's almost 7:30. So, but how do you know how far up to amputate a limb?
Sure, it's all circulation. Wherever they can obtain the circulation and it stops, that's where you have to cut. So a lot of people come in and they'll say, "Well, can you just take, one toe, or can you take like half the foot?" I'm like, "Well, that's not going to heal. It will die. You'll be back here in a week, and I'll have to cut off more." Then once you there's levels. Okay, so you can't, if you take a toe and then you take 3, then you got to go half the foot. Then it's more than half the foot. That's it. Then you have to go to the leg. It's not, okay, you're taking one bone at a time. There's a level, and then that's it. So once you take half the foot, the next thing is the leg. There's no in between. Because that's how people end up with the leg amputated, because like I said, that's where the blood flow stops. As I said, when the vessels start getting smaller and it's damaged beyond repair, there is nothing anyone can do. There's no amount of money. There's no taking the time back. That's it. Okay,
it's clock on the wall tells that we have to go. And I sure had to go because this has been very informative. And I ain't lying. I'm about to sit here and cry a little bit. So because I know I put myself in danger because of what I do. But 2 seconds for both of you guys to tell the listening audience about diabetes and foot and what you do. So Dr. Williams.
I want to leave with a positive note. If you have diabetes, it's not a death sentence. You're in control. You can keep those sugars straight. You can be the victim. Diabetes does not have to control you. It can be a positive thing for you. You don't have to lose a limb. You don't have to go blind. You don't have to have heart attack. I promise you can control this disease. And I'm starting my classes again. I apologize for these 2 years that I've not been there, but it's been not under my control. But I promise you, I'm coming back, and it will be soon, because I'm getting myself straight. We can do this. I promise you, we can do this. And I love you all. I love doing my diabetes ministry, and please don't give up. Don't give up. We're going to make it through this pandemic. You can do this. I don't want to leave it on a negative note. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Dr.
Right.
That's fair. Lorraine?
I piggyback on what she said. It's livable. I tell patients, you can control it. You're in control. Don't let it take you out, because it can, but it doesn't have to end up that way.
That's right.
And as long as you are informed and make better decisions, I always tell people, look at it as a positive. Hey, now I have the chance to make better choices.
That's right.
And move on.
That's right.
Are you taking new patients?
Absolutely. We have bills to pay. I'm just joking.
Ladies, we have a jewel in Beaumont, Texas with Dr. Levine. Y'all don't know.
Oh, thank you.
I'm telling you.
Thank you. I love what I do. We're in Edison Plaza. We take every insurance plan. I see 2-day-old babies to elderly individuals. So anything with the foot or ankle, we see all insurance plans. I don't discriminate against patients based on their insurance. That's one of the biggest things for me in this community. So if you have a foot or ankle problem, I don't care what it is, we can see it.
Okay. I appreciate you. I appreciate both you guys. And thank you for coming on. I know my listening audience is just overwhelmed about what you're saying, because I'm looking at what they're talking about. They say you guys were very informative and they want a lot of people to listen to you, but this is going to go up. And I wish I could bring you guys back on again, so y'all can, talk to, because there's a lot of people out here that have diabetes, and, and they just not taking care of themselves. For one. No. But that it stopped. The buck stops here. So listen on. Thank you for sharing with us tonight. Thank you for coming on. You guys hold on till I get them off. Thank you for coming on. And like I say all the time, if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you guys. God keep you. Take a look at that. Take a look at that presidential voting thing. And I love you guys.
Oh, Lord.
God bless you.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Good night.